What's up, Quad Cortex users? This is Steve Strelacci, and today we're going to be looking at the faux hybrid mode using your Quad Cortex. So I think we can all agree one of the most requested things from the Quad Cortex is the ability to have a hybrid mode where you can have scenes and bypass assignments on the same floorboard without having to page over using the 2-button press, which I personally am not a fan of. I would love it to be able to be one press to change you from scenes to stomps and stomps to scenes. I don't want to have to press it 3 times. I don't like the way that cycles, but what you could do here, and this isn't my idea, I have to give credit where it's due. Someone in one of the Facebook groups named Justin Time on Facebook, he is a brother from down under. He said after a few beers, he came home and decided, I'm going to plug a MIDI jumper cable from the MIDI out to the MIDI in. And he basically came up with this idea, which I don't know how nobody thought of this. It hasn't been posted about anywhere, but essentially what we're doing here is we're turning the Quad Cortex into a MIDI command center into itself. So you basically just take your MIDI cable, plug it into both ends, one cable, just jumper it right over. And what that's going to do is it's going to use the Quad Cortex in stomp mode, and it's going to send MIDI changes to the in of the MIDI and make changes into the Quad Cortex as if it were from an external device. So this makes a hybrid mode basically self-sufficient in here, and you don't need to know a lot about MIDI because it's really easy and really simple, and I'm going to walk you guys right through it. So despite being able to do it on a surface level, there are still some things that it can't do. We still can't do multiple bypass assignments, which I don't understand why we don't have yet, but supposedly it is coming soon. As with everything else that we talk about with the Quad Cortex, it's still in its infancy and has a long way to go for updates, but it's still a great unit as is right now. But once that functionality gets added, it's going to be a really, really even better unit than it already is. And by the way, if you guys did not know, that Neural has a voting thing on their website where you can vote changes or features that you would like to see in future updates. And I'll link one below that is going to be for multiple bypass assignments where you can assign any button or parameter change to a foot switch in stomp mode. So you don't have to burn an entire scene. You can just do everything within one foot switch in stomp mode. The other two things that you can't do with this, you can't name your scenes. So when you put a scene in your stomp mode, in this hybrid mode, you can't name it anything. So it's just going to be a blank, block. So you're kind of stuck with it as is, but it's still there. And as long as you remember which one is which, you should be fine. As long as you remember it A, B, or C, or D, whatever letter it is that the scene is. And you also can't use MIDI for anything else, whether you're plugging into MIDI over USB or anything like that. So 3 things cannot do. Multiple bypass, you can't name the scenes, and you can't use MIDI in any other way other than this hybrid mode. For me, this is an easy no-brainer to use this way because I don't really use external MIDI devices or anything, so I want a fully self-sufficient unit, and this helps us get one step closer. And that is enough talking. I'm going to go to a Quad Cortex cam so you guys can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to walk you through the process of getting here. Okay, so here you can see I have this hybrid mode preset built up here, and you can see up here I have the MIDI cable just going from in to out. I don't have this plugged into any speakers or anything because for the purposes of this, audio really doesn't matter. So here's what we're going to look like right now. We're in stomp mode. When I swipe up to my gig view, so you'll see A, B, C, and D are blank because I have those assigned already to scenes. So if you look up here in this corner, you'll see A, that means you're in scene A, and it'll always be telling you what scene you're in up in that corner. And these are just regular bypass assignments. Nothing different. And what I have D assigned to is gig view toggle. So if I want to make any changes, I can just hit this. It'll turn gig view mode off. And then I can go back and forth just for the purposes of the demo. I wanted to give a different look on what this can do. So how do we get here? Let's first, you got your 3 dots up here, and then you see this preset MIDI out. We're going to click on that, and I'm going to clear all of this so that now it'll look like the one that you guys have. And you also want to go to your MIDI settings, and you want to set your MIDI through to off. So right here, you want this switch set to off. Then you can hit done. And now again, we're back in our stomp mode. So up here, These are assigned to nothing at the moment because we have not done it. You can see that my scene isn't changing off of B. And if I change to my scene view, I have scenes assigned all over the place. So you can see I have a pretty packed preset here. Pretty packed preset. Say that 10 times fast. Now I swipe up to stomp mode, right? I don't have anything in those three. So what I'm going to do, hit my three dots. I'm going to go to preset MIDI out. So now this is what you're telling the Quad Cortex to send in terms of MIDI. So you're saying, hey, Quad Cortex, send a MIDI message with this menu. So I'll put up in a diagram of what the values are, what you want to send out. And for the purposes of this, where we're using scene selection, you have A through H. Those are going to come to a CC. We're going to be on channel 1. And the number, and this is all stuff that's in the manual. I highly recommend you just look at the manual and you'll see. And now this value, 0 through 7, are corresponding to A through H. So A is 0. So I'm going to make scene A 0. And then when I go to foot switch B, I'm going to go CC, channel 1. CC43, and that value is going to be 1, and that will be scene B. So right now, if you look up here, you'll see that now I can change back and forth from scene A to scene B while I am in stomp mode. You can still see up there that the scene is changing just as we wanted it to. Let's do one more. Now we have C. So C, we want it to be control change, channel 1. CC value, 43, and your value. Again, this is A, B, C, D, and so forth. So C is going to be number 2. So now I have, you could look at the values here. A is 0, B is 1, C is 2. And you don't have to do it in this order. It's just, I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it in a way that corresponds to what you're seeing. So now you can see A, B, and C are cycling through as they should while I am in stomp mode. And the gig view, just for a different look of things, if you want to open and close gig view, this is going to be CC also. It's going to be number 46. And again, this is all stuff that's in the manual, so definitely go and look at the manual. And your value is 0 through 127, so it really doesn't matter what it is. And now I can toggle to my gig view back and forth without having to bend over and get into my gig view mode the other way. I don't have to swipe up anymore. I could just tap it right there and life is good. And there are a whole list of things that you could be doing that you could find in the manual and look into those. One thing I want to mention while we're here is that if I am in scene mode, and this is again something that I think needs to be fixed in the Quad Cortex. It needs to go back to the way it was where the scenes would cancel out any bypass assignments. So if I go to this Les Paul amp lead, this now has all of these effects turned on, right? So when I am in stomp mode, these are turned on. So now I'm in a scene that's not listed in this hybrid mode. And in this scene, I have effects on. But when I switch to scene A, B, and C, these don't turn off. They stay on because they were attached to the other scene. So again, if that's a little confusing, when I'm on scene E, F, G, so these three have a bunch of things on it, right? You see all of these are assigned. I have a different reverb, I have a delay, and I have my tremolo. Just look at the reverb and tremolo, right? So when I'm on scene G, those are live. When I'm on scene A, B, and C, there's no effects on, okay? See, nothing is on there. And then when I go to these, you see it starts turning blocks on. It's a little bit more of an advanced scene. It's got different things going on. So this is a caveat of this hybrid mode. And now if I swipe up and I go to my stomp mode again, now when I switch from scenes A, B, and C, these bypass assignments stay and don't go away. So that's one thing that's frustrating about this, that if you're using scenes that have a lot of bypass assignments, that you're not going to be able to keep them and maintain them. So how I would use this is that I have my 3 amps up here for A, B, and C. So those are my 3 amp sounds, and you can see that's what's switching on and off here. These are 2 captures of amps. That's my bass min, my vintage Les Paul amp, and the Cali Clean. It doesn't really matter what these are. They're just arbitrary placeholders. So that's all I'm doing is switching amp models or amp captures, and then I could just turn on pedals as I see fit, kind of like the old school way that we used to do when we had real amps. One other thing that I am hoping for in a near update. So on this stomp mode, this is something that I do not understand why this is a thing. If I were to just say, and this has nothing to do with this video, I guess, but whatever I put in, say I put another capture of an amp, I'm just throwing arbitrary things in, and then I throw a cabinet in. Okay, this is just so hopefully we could see how this makes no sense. So say I put these in, these are automatically assigned to A. I do not, why? Why are these automatically assigned to the lowest foot switch value? Everything should be customizable where I want to tell it where to go. So I always have to make sure, and I'm reminding you that if you're doing this, you have to unassign everything that you have assigned in your preset. So if you're going to be doing this hybrid mode, you need to make sure that you unassign all of the foot switches that you want to add scenes to. So when you're in stomp mode, if any of these have assignments, you need to unassign them. Again, I wish that you could just not have it be that way and you could actually do the assigning yourself without having to unassign something that makes no sense. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree with that or not. And all right, so that is the faux hybrid mode in the Quad Cortex. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you could use it. Again, start a blank preset or clear out your stomp mode and get after it. Let me know what you guys are using this for, and I hope you guys got something out of this video. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.